About to get started here. Could I ask who's on the bridge line, please?
Yes, this is Stephen Dolly with Platts.
Stephen, hi.
Paul Plant with Maine Yankee.
Hi, Paul. Hello?
Hello, Marvin Lewis here.
Hi, Marvin.
Carlin Drain with UX Consulting.
Hi. UXC Consulting. And then
UXC.
a few other people.
Mute off.
Hey, Norma. Hi.
David Martin.
David Martin. Hi, David.
Mute on.
Could you say your name again? It's Erica Gray?
Erica Gray.
Gray, okay. And where did you say you're from? Sorry.
Henrico, Virginia.
Okay. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's meeting with the U.S. Department of Energy. My name is Huda Kavanik, and I'm a project manager in the Spent Fuel Licensing Branch in the Division of Spent Fuel Management. So those are kind of new names. We recently reorganized, and that's our new division and my new branch name. So this is a Category 1 public meeting and was noticed on September 19th. And the purpose of this meeting is to discuss technical considerations related to DOE's high burnup dry storage cask research and development project. The meeting is open to the public until 2:30 p.m., so no proprietary information should be discussed. And the information presented, and basically any notes I take, will be part of the docket in the public meeting summary. So from 2:30 to 5 p.m., the meeting will not be open to the public. So at that point, we'll just transition over and we'll escort people out. The public is invited to observe this meeting, and we're going to have an opportunity to communicate with them before the meeting is adjourned. We'll set aside, 10 to 15 minutes and try to answer any questions the public may have. We have several members of the public actually on the line. I hope today's meeting will provide an open dialogue, but we will not be doing any technical review, and no regulatory commitments will be made. And there is a sign-in sheet, which, I'll start passing that around actually, so please try to sign it. And we also have, which I forgot to put up, meeting feedback forms. So feel free to take one. It's postage paid, so we appreciate your feedback. And also, I'd like to take a few seconds to talk about the NRC safety culture. So the NRC safety culture policy sets forth the Commission's expectation that individuals and organizations performing or overseeing regulated activities establish and maintain a positive safety culture commensurate with the safety and security significance of their activities. So a copy of the policy is on the website, and we also have these 2 brochures. If you're interested, let me know. I can help you find it on the website or get more copies of these brochures. So at this time, you can go around and begin introductions. I think we heard some folks who are on the phone, but I think someone may have joined us. Could you please introduce yourself?
Donna Gilmore.
Oh, hi, Donna. Okay, so we can just go around the room.
John Greaves, JTG Consulting. Steve Marshman, Idaho National Laboratory. Nick D'Annunzio, Department of Energy.
The base, Department of Energy. Gordon McAdoo, Department of Energy.
Kim Sorensen, Indian National. And Durbin, Indian National.
Carlos Ford, Central Management.
Personally, that's
Danny Big Research.
Mike Case, Office for Research and
Manager, NRC.
Tony Shaw, NRC. Spent Fuel Management. It's a new title. Sorry. Okay.
I'm sorry, we can't hear.
Yeah, the phone's a little far, unfortunately.
Speak up.
Yeah, if everyone could, I guess, just try to speak up.
Michelle Sanson, I'm the Chief of Licensing Branch for the new division of Spent Fuel Management.
John Scaglione, Oak Ridge National Laboratory. Mirage Rahimi, NRC, Chief of Physicality, Field Risk Assessment.
Chris Cummings, Nuclear Energy Institute. Don McGee, Riva Federal Services. Steve Knickerbocker, Project Engineer, Trans-Nuclear, Arriva Trans-Nuclear.
Bill Wozniak, Project Manager, Arriva Trans-Nuclear.
David James, Senior Structural Engineer, Stanfield Management Division.
Wendy Reed, NRC.
Okay, great. And then I think we have a few folks who just joined us. Are there seats available? Should I go get chairs or?
We're going around the room.
Oh yeah, we're just making introductions.
Sorry, it's a little late. Chief Waldron, Effring.
Great. So did everyone?
Andy Griffith, Department of Energy.
Andy Griffith? Okay, great.
Alex Velasquez,
NRC. Okay, is that it? Great. Okay. Is that everyone? All right, thank you guys. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
More on the way.
Oh, really? Oh. Okay. I'll go grab them. Because I think just at this point, I'll pass it over to Ned, who I think wanted to begin the tabletop discussion. So, yeah. 1 second.
We're having a pause in the room.
While we're paused, this is Steve Dolly with Platts. I just wanted, on behalf of those on the phone, as much as possible, if when people are making extended comments, if they could maybe move closer to the mic or speak up or both, and also if people can identify themselves when they speak, that's extremely helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, they're coming.
You want to go over and test it?
Yeah, test it.
People on the phone, if they can hear it.
Given a percent, you might want to have them come sit right up here next to you.
That's a
Yeah,
good
why don't you
idea.
keep an empty chair?
Doesn't work?
Start telling it. It's working. It's working.
Maybe you do that.
Yeah, maybe Sydney's going to participate once my seat comes to the press.
Okay, yeah, that's fine with me. So, would you guys?
Everybody that we are planning on this year.
Okay.
Sorry, we were waiting for John to come down the hallway.
No, I thought everyone was here. I guess I started, well, it is like a little late, but I guess I started too, like early or whatever. Yeah. Okay, so for the folks on the phone, we found a working microphone, so we'll try to maybe incorporate that into our meeting so you guys can hear better. And then actually we just had some people join us, so the room is a little full, so we're just trying to figure out the seating.
Here, rotate. For the benefit of the people on the phone. Ned, sit up here.
Yeah,
Or whoever's speaking.
yeah. Ned, will you be doing the talking, or?
We'll start off.
Okay.
Start now, or?
When was it?
I'm just wondering if,
Where's we at on that very long?
yeah,
Whoever's speaking needs to get close to this microphone.
basically, yeah. Yeah, or try to go up to the podium.
The microphone on the podium is working. For the people on the phone. The amount of time that I'm going to be speaking will not be that significant.
Yeah, but
And so I'll just try and speak loudly. If that's
And
okay.
what kind of phone?
Here we go from there. And Ken, you'll be. Ken Swenson of our laboratory of Sandia National Lab will be doing most of the technical issues, if you're with me. You want me to begin?
yeah, go ahead.
Very good. This is Ed Larson. I'm the project manager for the EPRI contract and the Cask demonstration. We call it the confirmatory data project right now. What we're going to do, what we asked to do is there's still some, we published our test plan. We received a number of comments back from the Regulatory Commission. We received comments back from private industry. We received a number of comments back from a number of individuals also. We incorporated those comments into our test plan, and the biggest one that we got was where the NRC requested that we, in our original test plan, we were planning on in the 2 weeks that it was in the fuel handling building, we would sample it there, and then when it went to the pad, we would not do any more sampling of our gases. The NRC felt that we needed to do more than that. As we looked at it, we agreed with them. We felt like that if we were able to sample the gases more often, while it was sitting on the ISFC, that it would help us. The data that it would give us would be incredibly valuable also. With that, the DOE with the EPRI team consists of EPRI, AREVA, and Dominion. Act and look. We looked at internal sensors. We looked at a number of internal sensors. We looked at external sensors. We looked at a number of alternatives. The problem that we had is most of the internal sensors were not mature enough for us to include inside the cask at this point. Dominion came up and proposed that we could possibly go in and take samples of the gas, the helium, using the vent port in the N32. So we felt like that was by far the most technically feasible. We felt like our confidence in the data would also go up if we did that as opposed to sensors. And so that is what we came back. We briefed NRC briefly the last time we met on that would be our preferred way of moving forward. But there's still some issues that we need to resolve with this method of sampling. One is the sampling frequency, because there's some operational issues that we have to deal with. Dominion has some concerns still. There's some science issues, especially, and we're not going to go into the operating issues. That will be between Dominion, and that will occur tomorrow, and the operational issues. But from the science perspective, there's some science issues that we still, how often we feel would be reasonable, the things that we feel we could do as a project to make sure that we perform everything as safely as can be, that we make sure that we perform everything as scientifically complete as we can be, and so that the project is successful. I'll just say, and so that's why we asked that we talk, that we meet and discuss this today. The laboratory team that we have with us today are, I've got Ken Sorensen from Sandia National Lab. He is the one in charge of the technical aspects of this program. As part of his team, we have also brought Steve Marsh from Idaho National Lab. And we also have John Scaglione, who is from Oak Ridge National Lab. He is in the criticality issues and those issues where we were looking at the samples and how we select them and how we put them in our assemblies. I'm missing Sam Durbin with Sandia National Lab is also with us. From the DOE, I also have Melissa Bates, who is the contracting officer's representative for every contract. Corey, who also have Sig with me, who is my manager's manager, I guess. He's here at Forstall, and his deputy, Andy Griffith. And that is who the DOE has here representing us. But anyway, at this point, I'm going to turn the time over to Ken. We didn't have a presentation prepared. We prepared to do table discussion. And at this point, I'll let Ken go ahead and start off the discussion and he'll direct traffic. Any questions before we turn it over to Ken on the general nature that I can answer? Otherwise, we'll just dive right in. Very good. Ken?
Okay, thank you, Ned. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for the invitation to come and talk to the NRC at this public meeting. Just as a way of a little bit of background, the National Laboratories, DOE National Laboratories, support Ned and his program, the Department of Energy, on this contract between the DOE and EPRI industry in this Cask dry storage demonstration project. And along those lines, what our focus is to be able to support the DOE and industry under this contract in helping to get the most and best data that we can to meet the objectives of the program. And there's a balance, if you will, between getting all the science you can out of this project and balancing that against licensing issues, operational issues, system component issues, and just how all that fits together. And so when we look at getting the best data from a science perspective to meet objectives relative to some of the constraints that are actually out in the field, this is where we work as a team with DOE and industry to come up with the best answer. And so by some measures, if you're really on the science side, you may think this is a little bit limiting, but otherwise, it might be on the other side. You think you may be going too far from a licensing risk standpoint, those sorts of things. And so there's been a lot of discussion. The three topics on the table for this afternoon's discussion are the gas sampling, and along with that, the frequency of gas sampling, assembly selection. What assemblies are we going to put in the demo cask to monitor long-term high-burnup assemblies, and then the thermocouple locations and the calibrations thereof. And so this is why we have a team of labs to support this discussion, and we get into technical details on gas sampling. Steve Marshman from Idaho is our lab lead on that. And for the assembly selection and thermocouple locations, we'll defer to John Skagman from Oak Ridge National Labs to talk about specific details associated with those discussions that we've had. So I think what I'd like to do at this point is just kick off the agenda with the gas sampling topic and how we got to where we are, and then we can maybe address questions and have a discussion around that. But I'll give a brief overview. The issue with the gas sampling is to sample the internal of the cask to assess gases and potentially look for potential leakers. And along those lines, you'd be looking for fission gases, those sorts of things. But also look for water, hydrogen, things like that, to assess how dry we got the cask in the drying process. Hydrogen being developed through radiolysis, those sorts of things. And so we're looking at doing the internal gas measurement. And after a lot of discussion, it was decided that we would opt for doing graph samples on the pad to actually get the gas samples, and then take those gas samples to the lab and do the sampling from that standpoint. In terms of frequency, what is being proposed is to do it within a year after the cask is put on the cask, and then do it within 3 years after that, and then finally do it right before we transport it at the end of 10 years. we looked at this from a lot of different standpoints, a lot of baseline criteria, as Ned mentioned, from an operational perspective, physical perspective, a licensing perspective, and a science perspective in terms of what can we do, what should we do in terms of doing the sampling and what we're going to sample for. And really at the end of the day, what was driving a lot of the discussions were the operational constraints and principally the site dose budget at Dominion. And looking at when plant shutdown is going to occur, when the fuel loadings are going to occur, and those sorts of things, you have windows of opportunity, and you have some flexibility in the site dose budget and those things, and you have these particular operations on site. And this is what was driving a lot of when we could actually get into the cask and get these. And so what drove the frequency within the first year after it's put on the pad, in 3 years, and then right before shipment at the 10-year point. So I think at this point, that's a general overview of what we looked at. One of the other criteria that we did look at and reference a lot was the ISG 24 on the storage demo from the NRC, and we looked at that and used that as guidance when we were considering this. So that was one of the other aspects that we looked at. So that opened up to questions.
Mark Lombard, from my standpoint, I want to learn a little more about the site dose budget and how that's provided a constraint.
Well,
about the operation, how convenient to plan a sample for gas.
We can't hear.
This is Mark Lombard. Can you hear if I use this microphone on the phone? Can you hear me?
Can you hear Mark now?
It's a little better, still not very good.
Okay, well, we're trying to make do with technology, the limited technology we have here. So my question is, from the gas sampling standpoint, what specifically are the constraints, and how would that operation be conducted by Dominion as far as obtaining the gas sample? Because you mentioned, Ken, there are some site dose constraints, site dose budget constraints, and just to understand what the operation would be, if you are willing to, if you can, to discuss those.
Can Keith respond to that specifically?
Well, where we are on that is Dominion is Dominion is working on those issues right now. You may hear some of that tomorrow when Tom speaks at the 1 o'clock meeting, but we don't know those yet. We just don't know. I don't know. Keith, did you have any?
I think we should defer to Dominion on that.
Yeah.
Got two questions. NRC. Obviously,
on the phone.
No one replies. I hear that you're going to do a gas sample prior to when you're going to transport, because that's going to tell you, especially a couple of months after you get the receipt site, whether if there were any failures, whether they occurred during transportation or storage. And I'm glad to hear that you're going to be doing some graph samples while it's on the pad. But here, where you're going to do it specific intervals, that's a little bit disconcerting. I think the thing that you really need to do is to have a little flexibility in there and let what you observe guide the frequency of what you're measuring. Really, we're hoping that this demonstration confirms everything we've been doing in the past is just fine, and that there are no rod failures, and the canister is dry, and everything goes on. But there is a possibility, and the one reason that you're doing it is to find out if that's in fact the case. And so if you take it after 2 weeks, and you're not getting quite the moisture content that you are low as you think you're supposed to be, a year may be too long to take the next one. Or if after a year you find out that you're building up some hydrogen, you may not want to wait. So I wouldn't fix the time frame, but I let
No, you're right. When the numbers that we proposed were the numbers that we would say those would be the starting point, if you're with me, under perfect conditions, if there were no surprises. If we run into surprises in the analyses and we're picking up things in there, say higher moisture contents, or we're picking up on some of the other gases, at that point we, as the DOE EPRI team, will have to come together, look at the data, and then come back to the NRC and make adjustments, like you say, depending on the data that we're seeing and understanding. Because you're right, if we are surprised, then we're going to have to do it. We just thought that for us to do, there's a myriad of things that we could learn and understand, and for us to have contingency plans for every one of them would be difficult. But at the same time, we don't want to be flat-footed if we do see a surprise. And so currently we would, what our thought is to look at it, we have some planning to go ahead and do more frequent sampling. But if everything is behaving perfectly, which it normally does, in joking, but anyway, if it goes perfectly, then our frequency will be, we felt, sufficient. If something goes wrong, then we'll have to increase it some amount, and we'll have to decide that when we know more, when we see the data. But we agree. We agree with your concept.
This is Tony Shopper. Will you tell us, is it finalized which team from what lab or from EPRI will be doing the responsibility for the gas sampling? And are there technologies existing today that we can do sampling with remote monitoring, so we can not worry too much about the dosage?
Right now, we haven't nailed down all of those yet. We anticipate we are going to have to go into our work plan and start identifying the exact tests that will be done and the type of tests. We'll then have to go to the laboratories that can do those, what we feel do them best, if you're with me. We hope not to have to split it and start sending it to multiple labs, because there's probability of accidents and promises. And so we've got to look at it carefully, but we haven't assigned that to any laboratory yet. But we hope to update our test plan here in the not-too-distant future, in which we nail down all of the exact tests, the procedures, processes, things of that nature. And then we hope to then put a laboratory next to those tests. But you're right, it's important, because, and we've got to nail that down here shortly. We're working on it.
Anyone can share with us if there's any remote sensing capability. We can put a stick probe there, and then how they're going to do it through your sensors. How you can get to sooner, or whatever you like.
Where we are right now, today, we are anticipating the only two sensors that are going in the cask we anticipate are maybe a pressure and temperature. Is what we're looking at today. Because those are the two that are already qualified. We've already got, Reva already has knows where we can get our hands on these things. The other things, we looked at other sensors going into the cask, but we can't get those. They're too young in their technologies. We can't get those fully developed, fully qualified, fully approved to go in on the schedule that we currently have. That's where we are. We're still looking at sensors for exterior, because if we can still get sensors that go outside the cask, of course, that's wonderful. Then we can test all we want, if you're with me. And we're not on the critical path to loading. But right now, the critical path to loading pretty much excludes any other sensors going inside the cask at this point.
Man, a number of times in your opening, you discussed balancing the science with the operation. Are you sure you want to look at balancing science with operation, or you want to look at balancing operating experience with your constraints? Because really, a demonstration shouldn't be a science project. It should be a project to gain operating experience, internal components.